Get out of my house. Derek, my brother-in-law of 5 chaotic minutes, spat that into my dad's face inside the $425,000 beach place I bought for my parents' 50th. Amber, my sister, snorted like cruelty was a party trick. I stood in the doorway with a cake and keys that suddenly felt like handcuffs. Mom whispered, "Don't make a scene." My chest cracked. I smiled once and said the line that killed the room. "It's not yours. Tell me. If you were me, would you fight or fold?" This isn't a family moment. It's theft in a hug. It's the sound of love getting mugged while everyone smiles for a selfie. Stay with me. This gets uglier, and you'll want to say. Drop your take in the comments and hit subscribe. Because the next thing Derek said, "Family money, sweetheart. We're moving in." I grew up counting breaths between overdue notices. If you've ever watched your mom fold a bill like it's a threat, you understand how fear can live in a kitchen drawer. My dad worked doubles until his hands were maps of small injuries. I was the kid who learned early to smile first and panic later. We didn't have wealth. We had willpower and duct tape. So yeah, I became the fixer. The kid who translated "we'll figure it out" into action. You know the type. The family's 24/7 customer support line with a pulse. That didn't happen all at once. It happens the first time you float the electric bill with babysitting cash. Then, it's your scholarship refund to cover a car repair just this once. Then it's a credit card, in my name but for all of us. I told myself it was love. I told myself it was leadership. But really? It was fear. Fear that if I didn't hold the roof, the sky would fall. Tell me in the comments if you've ever felt that, like your spine became the beam that keeps the house from cracking. My sister Amber learned something else. She learned that I don't say no. She learned that my silence is a yes wearing a wig. When her boyfriend became her fiancé and then her husband, Derek learned it too. "You're so good at this money stuff," he'd say, like it was a compliment. Translation, "You're the vending machine and I've got opinions." I kept telling myself, "It's family, we're a team." But teams pass the ball. They don't sit in the stands and heckle the one player sprinting the whole field. So I did what fixers do. I went big. I hunted down a safe place for the 2 people who had never asked me for anything they couldn't repay with love. My mom and dad. A small blue house by the water. Not flashy, not viral. Just sunlight that moved gently across the walls, and a deck where you could exhale without asking permission. I ground through nights when the numbers blurred. I drank coffee like it was courage. I told no one, because I wanted the surprise to be pure. When I drove my parents out there, Dad brought fishing gear because he still believes in simple joys. Mom thought we were going to dinner. I can still see the second the truth hit them. Dad's hand on the banister, like he was touching a future he didn't think he'd live to see. Mom whispering, "It smells like lemon," to every cabinet, like she was blessing them. I put the keys in their hands and said, "It's yours." Every part of it. And for a moment, my inner child, the one who used to lie in bed mapping escape routes from stress, fell asleep warm and safe. If this part chokes you up, hit that like so the algorithm knows kindness still counts. Here's the pain I didn't know how to admit. I didn't just buy a house. I bought a fantasy that I could outspend chaos. I thought if I wrapped our history in new paint and clean rules, the past would behave. That's how fixers think. We confuse control with safety, spreadsheets with salvation. We say yes because the silence that follows a no sounds like abandonment. We forget that enabling and loving can wear the same cologne. Amber knew about my habits. Derek figured them out quick. They saw my open wallet and called it generosity. They saw my quiet and called it consent. One night, when the ink on the final papers was barely dry, I tucked a note in the kitchen drawer, just a plain line for slow mornings. "This house is for breathing." I meant it like a prayer. I drove back to the city for a deployment, humming with relief, the kind where you're tired but finally light. The text came days later, a photo of the deck, children's legs, a beer can in the corner, and the caption, "Home Sweet Home." Derek's account, Amber's laugh in the emojis. That's the moment I felt something critical tear. Hook question for you. When the people who share your last name cross your last boundary, where do you put your hands? On your heart? On your phone? On the door? And then came the line that still sets my teeth on edge. I walked in, cake in my hands like a punchline, and Derek said, "Get out of my house," right to my father's face. I swallowed something broken and smiled. "It's not yours," I said. The room blinked. Mom whispered, "Don't make a scene." My brain started drafting a scene anyway, one with documents and deadlines, with locks and laws. Because sometimes love is a lullaby, honey, and sometimes it's a courtroom dressed as a living room. If any part of this feels like your life wearing my shoes, drop a comment with "I hear you." Share this so the next fixer knows they're not crazy, just tired. Stay with me, because the next part? It's where the smile slides off their faces. You ever step into your own gift and feel like a trespasser? The day I pulled into the driveway, there was an SUV parked diagonally like it had something to prove. The front door was wide open, curtains were flapping, a cartoon screamed from the living room. The air smelled like grease and beer, not lemon and promise. My mom had a dish towel in her hand like a white flag. My dad was in his chair, fingers trembling on the armrest, his chair, while someone else sprawled on the couch scrolling. "Upstairs is for us," Derek announced, barefoot, beer in hand, not looking at me. "Kids want the ocean view." Amber didn't look up. "Relax, Bella," she said, voice flat with entitlement. "Dad's bad with stairs. We'll handle things here." If that sentence makes your blood warm, you're not alone. Tell me below, what would you have said? Because what I said was nothing, not yet. Rage is loud, but precision? Precision whispers. I asked Mom, "You told them?" She shook her head. "They saw a photo your dad posted." Dad couldn't meet my eyes. He muttered, "She said it was fine." She was Amber, I guessed. Or maybe she was the ghost of every time I chose peace over boundary. That's the twisted alchemy. When you behave like the floor, people walk. Not because they're evil, but because you trained them to. Then Derek went from offensive to operational. "Peak season's coming," he said, like a manager running a stand-up. "I listed the place. Easy money. House pays for itself." He grinned at me. "Family money, sweetheart. We're moving in." That sweetheart was a slap dressed as sugar. Amber laughed. "Don't be dramatic. It's a family home." Shock line number 2, the kind that bruises. "You're not here half the time. Be fair." Fair? Like fair was a math problem where effort equals ownership. Here's what curdled me. They hadn't just moved in, they'd monetized it. Photos I took, my descriptions, copy-pasted. Bookings lined up through August. Payouts routed to Derek's account like my work was his stream. And then the group chat screenshot I'd see later. Amber typing, "We'll get her to cave if Mom cries." Derek replying, "Peak season, baby. Free money." That's not ignorance. That's strategy with a side of cruelty. I wish I could tell you I flipped a table and they fled, but survival taught me a different move. I set the cake down, I said, "I'll be back tomorrow," and I walked out. I could feel their smirks biting my back like mosquitoes. "She won't do anything." I got in my car and held the steering wheel until my palms hurt. Then I drove 2 blocks down, parked, and walked back on foot. I didn't go inside. I needed distance from their noise to hear my own plan. Hook for you. When they think you'll explode, have you ever chosen to engineer instead? That night, I built a quiet war room. Folders, payments, HOA rules, screenshots, the trust paperwork I set up the week I closed. Because I anticipated this, didn't I? Fixers always do. We carry contingency like spare lungs. The deed? Recorded to a trust. Beneficiaries for life? My parents. Exclusive occupancy? In black and white. Me? Trustee with fiduciary duty to protect their peace. The platform listing? Using my photos, my words, my roof. Illegal under the HOA's no short-term rental clause. I called the HOA before midnight. The woman on the phone started bored. I read the clause aloud. She went very interested. "We can enforce that." "Great," I said. Please put it in writing. Email arrived minutes later. Paper is a kind of oxygen. Next, the platform's trust and safety inbox. Attached deed, trust, screenshots, routing numbers. I clicked send with the kind of calm that confuses bullies. Then a locksmith for morning. Note on the order. Change outer lock. Reprogram keypad. I'm not above symbolism. Old code out, new code in. I wrote a gentle, boring email to the neighbors. There may be unauthorized activity. I'm the trustee, compliance steps underway. Boring is the opposite of chaos. Boring wins. All night, my brain ran what-if simulations like storm drills. What if Derek refused to leave? What if Amber weaponized Mom's tears? What if they tried a quit-claim scam at the courthouse? I pictured counter-moves. I pictured their faces when leverage dusted in their hands. I won't lie, there was a small private satisfaction in that movie. Not revenge, relief. The promise that gravity still works. Morning smelled like coffee and printer ink. I put 5 pages into a manila folder. The deed, the trust, the listing screenshot, the group chat confession, the HOA clause. I drove back with the folder in my lap like a seatbelt. Inside, the cartoon still screamed. The dog barked. Derek smirked. Amber scrolled. Mom's eyes begged me to fix what she'd been trained to tolerate. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years in a week. I didn't raise my voice. I placed the folder on the coffee table like a tray of surgical tools. Everyone to the living room, I said. Not loud, not dramatic, just final. And when Derek spat, "Get out of my house," I answered the way muscle memory wants a new story. Reality doesn't care what you call it. If any of this is lighting up your anger, you're my people. Hit share so this lands with the next person who needs a blueprint for calm power. Stay with me, because the last act? That's where silence grows teeth. I laid the first page down. Deed, I said, tapping the header. Recorded last week. Owned by the trust I created. Lifetime beneficiaries, Sam and Ruth, my parents. With exclusive occupancy. Not you, not me, them. Derek laughed a little too fast. Big words, he said. Family property. Wrong, I answered, still calm. It's theirs, and my legal duty as trustee is to remove anyone who interferes with their peace. Amber tried the sweet voice that used to melt me. We're helping, she said. Dad can't handle stairs. I didn't argue the premise. I argued the truth. Here's your help. I set down the printed screenshot. Their listing. Entire home, oceanfront, booked weekends through August. Payout to Derek's account. Mom gasped. Dad closed his eyes like he could unsee it. Shock line no 3 arrived on schedule. Derek leaned back and said, "You're not here. Be fair." I met his gaze. This isn't fairness. This is theft in family cosplay. I flipped the next page. The text thread. Amber's message. We'll get her to cave if Mom cries. Derek's reply. Peak season, baby. Free money. Silence arrived like an audit. Amber's face drained. She tried to reach for the paper. I slid it back, steady. Don't touch my work, I said. Your work is money, Derek shot back. My work is protecting them. Final page. HOA rules. No short-term rentals, I read. Violation reported. Enforcement pending. The TV went mute. Even the dog looked confused. Derek leaned in, beer dangling like a prop. Or what? You gonna call the cops on your own family? He thought I would hesitate. He thought love would handcuff me. Or, I said, and placed my phone on the table, screen up. I file these, draft to the HOA board, draft to the county recorder, draft to the platform with the listing link, and this, I pointed at the text, is Victor the locksmith parked outside. The doorbell rang like I'd hired sound design. 3 bright chimes. The dog lost its mind. I looked at Mom. She was shaking, but she met my eyes. Do what you need to do, she whispered. That sentence cut years of learned helplessness in half. Permission is powerful. You think paper scares me? Derek puffed up. No, I said. Reality does. Victor stepped in with a tool bag and the demeanor of a man who has seen things. "Afternoon, you must be Bella." "I am," I said, handing him the authorization letter, trustee signature, neat and boring. He scanned it, nodded, and disappeared to the lock like a surgeon to an artery. Shock line No. 4 came as Derek pointed at my father. "Old man, tell her to stop." Dad's voice shook, but he said the sentence I'll keep forever. "This is our house. We're staying." Mom slid her hand into his. For once, she didn't apologize for wanting peace. Amber's eyes filled. "You're humiliating us," she said to me. "No," I answered. "You did that when you posted 'Home Sweet Home' from someone else's kitchen." I laid out the exit ramp like an HR packet. "Here's what happens next," I said. "You'll pack. You'll delete the listing. You'll refund every booking. You'll leave your keys here. If you don't, Victor finishes the lock and you can film your tantrum in the driveway." He kept drilling. Clean, final sounds. I looked at the table. "Keys," I said, hand out. Derek slapped his key down, choosing bravado over grace. Amber paused, then tossed hers like a dare. There's always that moment where they test you, like toddlers testing gravity. Gravity remains undefeated. Victor returned with the new keypad. "Code's ready. Who gets it?" I turned to Dad. "You pick." He whispered 4 numbers, his wedding month and year. We entered them. The beep was small and holy. I tucked the instruction strip into a folder labeled Happy Things on the entry table. Amber stared at the label like it mocked her. "You could have just talked to me," she said. "I have been," I told her. "You mistook my silence for permission." "See you in court," Derek said, going for the exit line. "You won't," I said, "because I'll see you first." He scowled. "You think you're clever?" "No," I said, just prepared. Outside, boxes thumped, kids shuffled. Even the dog looked embarrassed. The SUV door slammed. Gravel scraped under their tires. The house sighed. I sat Mom down. She was still shaking. "I didn't want to pick sides," she said. "You didn't," I told her. "You stopped pretending there weren't any." Dad went to the deck with a cup of coffee he finally had time to taste. I opened my laptop and finished the cleanup. Cancel all illegal bookings with notes. Listing removed by owner. Refund issued. Forward HOA confirmation. Email neighbors. Confusion resolved. No rentals moving forward. The platform pinged. Listing removed. Account actioned. HOA replied. Compliance acknowledged. Amber texted. "You made Mom cry. Delete." Peace isn't always quiet. Sometimes it's administrative. We cut the cake I'd carried through the whole war. Lemon frosting, sweet with a sting. Mom laughed once, a small bright sound, then breathed, really breathed. Dad stared at the water and said, "It's finally quiet." And I answered, "That's how love should sound." If you've made it here, give this a like so YouTube knows boundaries are binge-worthy. Drop a comment with the one sentence you wish you'd said sooner. Share this with the fixer you love. Because here's the truth I learned, and I want you to remember. Love isn't covering chaos with kindness. Love is paperwork that holds. Love is locks that click. Love is a parent sleeping through the night because you chose the hardest word, no, and meant it. I wish I could tell you it ended with a victory parade. It didn't. It ended with quiet, my parents breathing in sync with the ocean. Lemon cake, cold coffee, and a lock that finally clicked. And me, sitting there with that heavy mix of relief and grief, because setting boundaries means admitting how long you lived without them. Here's my honest question to you. Am I in the wrong? For choosing paperwork over pleading, for choosing locks over lectures, for choosing peace over keeping the peace. What I learned is simple, but it cost a lot. Love without boundaries becomes a paycheck for chaos. Compassion needs a spine. Silence becomes consent if you repeat it enough. I can care about people and still say no. I can protect my parents and not apologize for doing it well. The day I stopped managing everyone's storms, my house, our house, finally heard itself think, if this hit a nerve, tell me how you'd handle it. Drop your take in the comments, fight, fold, or file the papers. If you know a fixer who needs permission to draw a line, share this with them. And if you want more real stories about family, money, and the courage to say no, tap like and subscribe. Let's make quiet a habit.